Have you ever looked at your bank account after a completely normal month and wondered where all your money went? No crazy shopping, no big splurges, just groceries, a few meals out, maybe a new phone because the old one was slowing down, normal stuff, and yet somehow your balance feels way lower than it should. Here's what most people don't realize. A lot of the things we're buying today just aren't worth what they cost anymore. Prices have quietly gone insane, and we've all just adjusted because that's how it is now. My name is Susan, and I help people understand money, and more importantly, how to stop watching it disappear on overpriced things that don't add real value. If you're tired of constantly wondering where your paycheck went, this is for you. Let's start with something that might make people defensive. Fast food isn't cheap anymore. It used to be quick and affordable. That was the whole point. A cheap burger and fries and you were done. Those days are gone. Now it's $12, $15, sometimes $20 for a meal at McDonald's or Burger King, $20 for food you eat in your car out of a paper bag. The price feels premium, but the quality hasn't changed. The value is gone. We're paying more for the same thing just because it's convenient. And it's not just fast food. Sit-down restaurants used to be something you could enjoy regularly without wrecking your budget. Once or twice a week, no big deal. Now dinner for two at a completely average place can hit $60, $70, even $80 before tip. Add drinks, add gratuity, and suddenly you've spent $100 on one meal. Money that's gone the second you stand up from the table. You didn't buy something lasting, you just had dinner. There's nothing wrong with enjoying a meal out, but when everyday spending quietly turns into luxury pricing, it's worth asking whether the value still matches the cost. But when you're eating out multiple times a week, which a lot of people are, and that's thousands of dollars a year disappearing into restaurant bills. For food, you could make it home for a fraction of the cost. Maybe it wouldn't be quite as good, but would it be 5 times worse? Probably not. For a lot of people who struggle to save or invest, eating out is the silent budget killer. It doesn't feel expensive because it's $20 here, $30 there, but over time, it becomes one of the biggest and most optional expense categories. Now let's talk about something even bigger, brand new cars. This one is painful because the math is so obvious. The moment you drive a new car off the lot, it loses around 20% of its value instantly. You haven't even made it home and you're already down thousands. Then it keeps depreciating. And since most people finance, you're also paying interest on something that's actively losing value. It's not an investment. It's the opposite. People buy new cars for the smell, the status, the feeling of having the latest model. And if you're wealthy, fine. But if you're trying to build wealth, a brand new car is one of the fastest ways to stay broke. A 3 or 4-year-old used car will get you to the exact same places for half the cost. The major depreciation already happened. Someone else took that hit, not you. But people justify it. I work hard. I deserve this. Maybe. But what you're really signing up for is 5 years of payments. Now let's talk about clothing, specifically luxury brands. I'm not saying quality doesn't matter. Sometimes it's worth paying more for something durable that lasts years. But most expensive clothing purchases aren't about quality. They're about logos, brand names, status. You can buy a plain white t-shirt for $10, or you can buy essentially the same shirt with a designer logo for $200. Same material, same function. The difference is the name on it. And nobody really cares what brand your shirt is. You're just paying an extra $190 for recognition that doesn't change your life. This applies to designer jeans, handbags, sneakers. Most of the price is branding. That's fine if you truly have money to burn, but most people spending like this don't. People are literally going into credit card debt to buy designer clothes because they think it makes them more valuable. It doesn't. That's just marketing convincing you that you need logos to matter. You don't. Vacations are another category that's gotten completely out of control. Flights are expensive. Hotels are expensive. Even budget options cost way more than they used to. And yet people keep booking trips they can't afford because they feel like they have to. They see everyone posting beach photos and city skylines online and think, I need that too. So they put it on a credit card and spend the next year paying it off with interest. Travel can be amazing. New places, new cultures, how that has value. But not if it puts you in debt, not if it delays saving, investing, or building any real security. There's this pressure to travel while you're young and collect experiences. And yes, experiences matter. But so does financial stability. So does not being stressed about money all the time. Maybe the smarter move is smaller trips, closer to home, exploring your own region, waiting for big international travel until you can afford it without borrowing. Now let's talk about subscriptions, especially streaming. Most people have 5 or 6 services: Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, HBO, Amazon Prime, Apple TV. Each one is $10 to $15 a month, which feels small, but together that's $60, $70, even $80 a month, close to $1,000 a year just for streaming. And be honest, you probably use 1 or 2 regularly. The rest, you're paying just in case. That's money that could be going towards savings, investments, or paying off debt. Instead, it's disappearing into subscriptions you barely touch. Cable is even worse. Some people are still paying $150 a month for hundreds of channels they never watch simply because they haven't canceled it. And it's not just entertainment. Gym memberships fall into the same trap. People sign up, go for 2 weeks, then stop, but the payments keep going. Small monthly charges don't feel serious, but stacked together, they quietly drain thousands every year. People keep paying for things like unused gym memberships because canceling feels like admitting defeat. So that's another $500 or $600 a year gone. Money that could have been invested or saved. Instead, it's funding something you're not even using. Then there's electronics. Every year, a new phone drops and people rush to upgrade, even though their current one works perfectly fine. New laptop, new tablet, new smartwatch, slightly better features, so obviously it's necessary. A new iPhone costs around $1,000 or more, and people replace them every year or two. Sure, the camera's better, the processor's faster, but does it actually change your life in a meaningful way? Probably not. You're still texting, scrolling, and watching videos, just like before. And it's not just phones, laptops, tablets, gaming consoles, constant upgrades for devices that were working just fine. Tech companies are masters at creating artificial urgency. Small improvements, big marketing campaigns, and suddenly everyone feels behind. If you kept your phone or laptop for 4 or 5 years instead of upgrading constantly, you'd save thousands. Thousands that could be invested instead of handed over for marginal improvements. The worst part? Many of these devices are designed to become outdated faster. Planned obsolescence is real. They want you buying again and again, and people keep doing it. Not because they need the upgrade, but because they want the newest thing. Even though most technology today is already far more advanced than what the average person actually needs. Here's another category that's gotten out of control: household goods, branded cleaning products, premium kitchen gadgets, designer furniture. People are spending way more than necessary on basic items. Sometimes the expensive version is better, but most of the time you're paying for a brand name. Generic cleaning supplies work just as well. A cheap spatula flips food the same way a $40 one does. Nobody needs a $400 blender unless they're running a smoothie business. There's this culture around having the perfect kitchen. Bread makers that never get used, pasta machines collecting dust, giant knife sets when you only use 2 knives. It's stuff that drains your bank account and takes up space. Furniture is even worse. People are financing couches, going into debt for a sofa that'll be worn out in 5 years. You can find solid furniture for a fraction of the cost if you're willing to look. Thrift stores, marketplaces, clearance sales, but instead, people finance thousands of dollars because they want everything to look Instagram ready. Then there's status spending. Buying things not because you need them, but because they signal success. Luxury watches, designer bags, cars you can barely afford. Ironically, actually wealthy people usually aren't the ones doing this. They don't need to prove anything. It's often people who want to look wealthy who spend the most on depreciating stuff. Meanwhile, there's no savings, no investments, nothing building long-term security, just expensive items meant to impress people who don't really care. And the sad part? A lot of this spending comes from insecurity. People think the right brand or the right car will make them feel more respected. But respect doesn't come from logos, and confidence definitely doesn't come from debt. So where does that leave us? Almost everything costs more than it used to, and much of it simply isn't worth the price anymore. Fast food is expensive, gadgets are overpriced, status items drain your future, and most people are just going along with it. Restaurants are overpriced, new cars destroy your finances, clothes are massively marked up, vacations cost more than they should, subscriptions quietly drain your account, electronics are overpriced and built to be replaced, and status spending? That's just paying to impress people who don't care. The solution isn't complicated. Stop buying what you don't need. Stop trying to keep up. Stop upgrading everything just because marketing tells you to. Cook at home more. Keep your car longer. Buy used. Cancel subscriptions you don't use. Keep your phone until it actually breaks. Choose generic products. Stop trying to look rich that can start building actual wealth, because that's the trade-off. You can look wealthy or you can become wealthy. For most people, it's one or the other. Maybe your life looks less impressive online. Maybe you don't have the newest phone or the flashiest vacation photos, but what you'll have instead is savings, investments, real financial security, and that's worth more than appearances. This isn't about living like a monk. Spend on what genuinely improves your life. Just be honest about what that actually is. Most spending doesn't create happiness, it just creates stress. Prices have gone up, and they probably aren't coming back down. Companies charge more because people keep paying, but you do have a choice. You can say no. You can delay upgrades. You can skip the designer version. You can think before you spend. The people who figure this out early end up financially comfortable later. The ones who keep spending on normal little expenses often wonder why they can't get ahead, even on decent income. Track your spending for a month. You'll probably be shocked at how much goes to things that don't matter. Then start cutting. There's almost always something, usually a lot of things, because your money can either disappear quietly or start working for your future. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel for more videos like this and send this to your friends who need to watch it.